Hello, 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 and welcome to a post-match stream from a very fun, very solid 1-1 draw at home to Arsenal for Chelsea. Early red card, Anthony Taylor, who I actually thought refereed the game extremely well. Extremely well. This was a very good result for Chelsea. Like, not losing this game, I think, really matters. But that was really solid. That was really solid across the board. Chelsea draw 1-1. If you're in here, you watch the game. I don't even know where to start in this game. I think actually starting with the referee and the red card is probably the place to start before we talk about the things that happened at 11v11 and then the things that happened at 10v11 from there. And kind of, I think one of the things that was nice about today is Chelsea were much better 10v11 than they have been previously under Enzo Maresca, which was nice. Good problem solving. So in terms of the refereeing in the match, it's definitely a red card. Like, it's a really bad tackle. I don't love like the language some people have used to describe it, because I don't think it's like malicious. I also don't think it's like ill-disciplined. I think he just gets the tackle wrong. Like, he comes in too forceful. But also, if you watch it, like, Marino does like a stab pass, and if he just hits a regular pass that he follows through, like, Caicedo just kicks his leg and it's a foul, but it's not a card. Like, I think he's somewhat unfortunate to end up in the situation. I think he is somewhat unfortunate to end up in the situation where the tackle is a red card tackle, but it is obviously a red card tackle. In terms of kind of the next steps, like, he's suspended for 3 games. I think there is like, Chelsea are not playing a tremendously difficult schedule in that game, in those games. And Caicedo has very clearly been carrying a knock. Like, him getting to rest and recover is probably a nice thing. But I think, like, it does bring up a very interesting set of dilemmas where, like, he's definitely going to play the Atalanta game and he's probably going to play the Cardiff game. And really, you'd kind of just want him to play Atalanta. But Leeds, Bournemouth, Everton, like, those are games that Chelsea should be taking 9 points from this season. So that's where that is. But in terms of Anthony Taylor and, like, the headline officiating of the game, where is it? 6 yellow cards for Arsenal, 1 for Chelsea, 1 red card. I thought it was very well officiated. I thought the early yellows were really, really timely, and all the air went out in the second half, and a lot of that is the red, but I thought it was very well officiated. And I was worried about, like, there's a lot of early yellows. We're going to get a second yellow somewhere that's not going to get given, and it didn't happen. I thought he managed the game really, really well. Like, very, very well officiated game for what is a game that was extremely hard to ref. Extremely hard to ref. Yeah, Discordant Football says was a nightmare game to ref, to be fair. Like, that is, until the red card, that game was mental. Felipe Tilkin says, I did think the Cucurella yellow is premature. You know what? I also thought, like, he pointed at the first one, which implies persistent infringement. I think 2 fouls is pretty early for persistent infringement, but they were on the same player, and they were both in the first, like, 10 minutes. So you never know. I think it's not reasonable. And then obviously people bring up the Gyökeres challenge, but I think the Gyökeres challenge is just a yellow. Like, yes, he slides, but his studs are down and pointed away from Sanchez. So, like, If he is turned and he hits Sanchez in the chest, red card. But I think a yellow is fine. Wizard AK say, isn't it only a single match ban? No, I'm pretty sure it's 3 because it's a serious foul play red card. Foul play, red card, suspension, punishment. Minimum of 2. Okay, so it's just 2. It's just 2. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. It's a red card. Talking about the actual football on the pitch, Chelsea lined up with what has kind of become the de facto big game lineup. Cucurella, Chalobah, Fofana, Gusto as a flying right back. James is one of the double pivot with Caicedo. Neto, Fernandez, Esteval. The wingers kind of changed. Joe Pedro's the 9. The wingers kind of changed, but this was the group they had. And there was some fun stuff. So, like, Arsenal, in my opinion, are the best pressing team in the world. Their ability to swap between man-to-man principles and zonal principles, like what John McKenzie calls a hybrid press, is insane. Like, it is very, 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 very good. And because of that, they're very hard to play through. They force you to play around, right? So you end up having to play around the structure. And when you play around the structure, you end up having a lot of pressure on the wingers, and they're not really able to get much going. I think what Chelsea did very, very well is, instead of having the back 3 be Fofana, Chalobah, Cucurella, where now Fofana is the one being asked to make plays on the switch a lot of the time, they shunted Fofana out as a right back. They split the back 3 with James, and you ended up with what looked like just a back 4 with Reece James at center back. I wonder how much of this came from Reece James playing center back against Liverpool and looking really good. Really good there. And what I thought was nice is he was so in control that I think Arsenal had a very hard time generating high turnovers this way. And in particular, I think you saw a lot of ability for Chelsea to then bring Gusto inside and Esteval hold width and able to narrow the structure to get Esteval 1v1s against Calafiori. Until the red card, I was so happy with how everything was set up. I thought Chelsea were really, really smart. I thought in the press, defensively, like, it's one of those things that, like, we talked about in preseason, like, how do you solve, like, the winger jump and having to have a big fullback jump, right? So having Gusto jump all the way from right back to the left back. And one of the things we talked about a lot on stream and from other things is, like, that jump is easier if everyone else is marking much tighter. And one of the things we have seen through the last couple of weeks with Chelsea is that now that we have gone to Fofana and Chalobah as a pair all the time, they are so much more aggressive in the press. It was actually more like this. Caicedo is down here. They are so much more aggressive in the press that you are really, really able to press so much more aggressively with everyone else. And because of that, like, Gusto's jump is so much shorter because your center backs are way more comfortable recovering into the channel and pressing out to people. And so, like, you look at, I'm waiting for Mark Arstad's for his to come up, and, like, the PPDA is going to be warped because they're defending so deep late. Yeah, like, so Chelsea still had a PPDA of 11 while defending so deep. I would bet you before the red card that it was very low, like 5 or 6 low. And I think a lot of that is driven by the center back pairing, who I thought had an unbelievable performance again. I thought they were so good. Like, the goal is a little bit rough. Chaloba gets sucked into double when it's not really his job to double. It should be Garnacho doubling, and Fofana is a little bit ball watchy. But I thought both of them were spectacular defensively. And the red card happens. So, and this is a lot of what it looked like. Like James, I thought was phenomenal in midfield. I thought Enzo Fernandez was just okay. I thought Caicedo was just okay even before the red. But I thought that João Pedro was particularly active defensively. Sam, CFC Central, was talking before the game about how João Pedro has been kind of poor defensively lately. And I think that's a very fair consideration, but I thought he was really good today. And one of the things that I thought was quite interesting is normally Chelsea are very deliberate about what side they want the winger jump and then the fullback jump, where it will always be Estevao and always Gusto, and then there's clarity behind it. And one of the things when we talked about this a few weeks ago was like, well, what if you mix it up and it's not always that guy? And there were actually a lot of moments where Neto threatened, and it made it somewhat less predictable for Arsenal to play through. The problem that happened is that these players would come low, and like Calafiori would end up in here, and Estevao would be like, I'm just chilling on the weak side. They wouldn't do a great job of staying dense and like maintaining this density in here. And so like it didn't really work that well, but I think ideologically it was cool to see. And like that's where James nicked Calafiori one of those moments, like with back pressure. So I thought up until the red card, super happy with how the first 37 minutes or whatever it was went of that game. After the goal, we didn't see any subs till halftime. Love. And I think I said this the last two red cards, like one of the really nice benefits. I think Maresca is quite good at like taking some time to like analyze what should we do, what's the best decision here. And like it happens close enough to halftime that you get the 8 minutes and you get halftime to decide. And you get the analyst to talk from upstairs. Like you get the time to talk about everything. And I think that was very much reflected in this game, where the only sub we saw was Garnacho came on for Estevao. We saw the wingers swap. And we saw Chelsea defend in what was effectively a 4-5. So Caicedo's gone. You can go over here. What was effectively a 4-5. It basically looked like this. João Pedro dropped in to the line, and the wingers on both sides would always come to double up on the winger or the high fullback. It was Saka and Martinelli, and then later it was Madueke, and Chelsea just managed like much more 5 and 4 or 4 and 5, but and like there were times even that it was like 6 and 3, and they managed. Then for 15 minutes, Chelsea score off the set piece. We'll talk about the set piece. Really nice set piece. That Chaloba guy's pretty good. That set piece coach. I don't know why we pay for a set piece coach when, like, we just score off set pieces every week. Why do we? What do we even need him for? Why is he here? What a waste of time. I can't believe we paid £1 million for a set piece coach. Like, what? We could have spent £1 million on David Washington instead. Chelsea get the goal, and I think after the goal, it got too deep. And it got too stagnant, where even before the goal where Saka is able to dribble into the penalty area and cut back and cross, they were able to get extremely, extremely, extremely deep with no ball pressure. Like there were times where it was this line of 6. Discord and Football says the off-screen pile of shame. Yes, in there you have Caicedo, you have the backup goalkeepers for both teams, and you have a blue dot. I don't know what it is. And I think with that, João Pedro was flagging a little bit. It was a lot of effort defensively, and then we get Liam Delap comes on. Now, somebody earlier said, talk about Delap because I don't think he was that good. So it was like he hardly ran. He didn't really do much defensively, blah, 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 blah. I think defensively, Delap was like pretty poor. However, what I will say to that is, as bad as he was defensively, he was good making the ball stick, holding up, winning free kicks, getting Chelsea out. You know what I mean? Um, I think the first couple minutes, like there was one where he receives here and Hincapi goes to like apply pressure from behind and he drops even before Hincapi goes and he's like, oh, I didn't win the free kick. And after that moment, I thought he was really, really good at pinning Hincapi and Mascara and winning first contact. Like basically every single time Chelsea played direct, it did not come down their throat. Like Sanchez played super long into the lap and it was like flick-ons, it was make it stick, it was win a free kick, win a throw. Like I thought he did a very, very good job of kind of doing the Ipswich thing of like shithouse, win free kicks, hold up, knock-ons, all that sort of stuff. That's the things he's good at. So like I'm not shocked that he did a good job of that, but I thought it was a good diagnosis for Maresca to bring that out and then like recognize, no, we do need the presence high to make the ball stick. And then I thought Chelsea defended pretty well. Like the game ends up a 0.8 to 1.3 XG game. In the second half, it's 1 to 0.5. Like, yes, they create one huge chance, really two huge chances. Like the Timber chance is a very, very big chance. But other than that, I thought Chelsea did a pretty good job of bending, not breaking. They didn't really give up much. They had a couple decent transition moments. Like, they had like the header for Neto off of a cutback. There was like a couple Garnacho ones that I thought could have turned into shots, but like they got some stuff in transition that they weren't particularly efficient with. But I think them actually being willing to threaten in transition is a big part of why it took Arteta some time to ramp the risk profile up. And I think people, like, I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, Maresca or Arteta was so late, like really ramping the heat up, which like is kind of true. But I thought, I mean, taking off a winger for a winger and then a defensive midfielder for a 10 is a thing. I thought Gyökeres for Eze could have happened earlier. I thought they were much better when they had like a real 9 and then Marino could be the second guy. But I think like Chelsea being honest in transition was good for that. Yeah, it was a very, 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 like, it was not a good game, but it was a fun game. Some other fun things to talk about before we go through the players and then we talk about the year-over-year stuff and whatever. Chelsea continued the trend of leaving 3 guys high on corners. And the thing that I enjoy the most about it is that, one, Arsenal had no idea how to handle it. They were like, well, hold on, do we need to leave the numbers back? Because like it's 1-1. Do we need to stay 3v3? Or do we need to like leave a 4th to make sure we don't? Check Mark R Stats' set piece tweet. I don't see it. Convex CFC says check his set piece tweet. I don't see it. If you want to tweet it at me, Convex CFC, I'll go look at it. He tweeted it from his account, not the bot's account. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. We top. Look at us. I feel like that Paul Rudd meme. Look at us. Look at us now. Yeah, that very, very, very nice. That is a great tweet. I gotta get the Paul Rudd gif. Yeah, there we go. So I think like one, Arsenal had no idea how to handle leaving 3 high. The other thing that I really enjoyed about this is that Chelsea's best set piece defender is the big fella, Rob Sanchez, who had another phenomenal game. He is an excellent, excellent cross taker. I would bet, I was also just about to click this and see if his stats popped up, if you're wondering like where my brain is at. Let's see. Man of the match on FotMob. Concedes 1 goal from 2.2 XG. Not bad. 2 of those saves, this one in the first half from Martinelli is an insane save. Like, it doesn't track because like he's so long and his rebound for it on both, including the Gyökeres one, is like not that good. But both of those are really, really, like they're back across your movement, and he's massive so that he gets down, strong hand. Like, it's a good save. 2 high claims, 1 punch, 11 recoveries. Like, I thought he was really good, man. I thought he was really, really, really good. He swept up pretty well. But using him as your number 1 set piece defender is, I think, very, very clever. Where, okay, now Arsenal bring whatever 5 players into the box, but it frees up so much space for Sanchez to come do his thing. And claim and mop up, because there's room to come. And I thought Chelsea defended the set pieces really, really well all game, which was really nice to see. It was, again, I'm really, really, really happy with his performance. On the attacking set pieces, it's the same route Chelsea. It's one of the routes that Chelsea have been running all season, and it's a great delivery and it's a great flick on. And they nearly had 2 more that are like, one is like an inch from a Cucurella flick on, that Rice ends up clearing off the back of his head, but it's like right there. So you'll live with it. It's very, very good. Going through like player by player, obviously we talked about Sanchez, who I thought was very, very, very good again. And now, like, I don't want to jinx it. I get so nervous giving him praise because, like, you never know what's coming next. But, like, real good performance, solid performance. Karabag was pretty bad. Real good, like, Spurs didn't have anything to do. Well, he was very good claiming crosses against Spurs. And you just, like, just getting there. ZZZ says 170 concurrent viewers BTD. I haven't been checking these numbers, but that's got to be a record. I believe it is. I think the highest before was 158. So I love it. But no, Sanchez has been like real solid. I'm really happy with his season so far. Again, you go back to the video I did about 10 stats that'll define Chelsea's season. One of them was errors leading to shots from him. He's had none. And we'll check in on Strasbourg later. I know they lost, but I don't know what happened with that one. So yeah, very, very, very happy. Very happy with Sanchez. Adam Durrani says, "What up, Kieran? I don't see any excuse for Cucurella to allow Saka on his left foot. What do you think?" Yeah, we talked about this. That I think once you get here into this situation, right, where you're 1v1. Saka trying to stand something up with his right foot is a way better outcome than anything that happens if he cuts back to his left. And I think Cucurella generally is not an amazing... Cucurella's very good. Let me start there. Cucurella also very good against Barcelona. Let me start there. I do not think historically he's done that well against left-footed wingers. In that I think sometimes he is too eager to let them come inside. I think the difference when you think about Yamal is like he talked about defending Yamal where he's like, no, I gave him room to his right foot. I don't think that was the case with Saka. I think you probably would have been better off defending Saka that way. So it works. Kukal, I thought, had a solid game. I think he struggled in the first half. Like, if that game stays 11v11, I think there's a pretty decent chance that he gets subbed or gets sent off. But I thought it was an okay performance from him. Chalobah and Fofana, like, again, I'm just going to keep saying the same things. Like, Chelsea should not play any other center back pairing. They should play Chalobah, Fofana, Badiashile, Achimpong, and nobody else. And by nobody else, I mean Tosin should not play. Those four guys, every time they play, Chelsea look fine. I would bet against Leeds that we probably won't see Fofana, and we'll see like Chalobah, Badiashile, if I had to guess. We'll probably end up seeing Tosin because it's Tosin. But, like, I think that's what... He's very, very good. He's a good passer. 34-42 is just okay. But, like, excellent defending in the box. 7 passes into the final third in a game where, like, you played with 10 men for 65 minutes is amazing. 6 clearances, 4 headed clear. Like, he was just very, very good. Fofana the same. I thought Fofana is, like, playing the part appropriately of... He is not going rogue and making decisions with the ball. He is very much like, no, not my job. I'm just going to defend. I'm going to win headers in the air. And 6 out of 7 headers, like, I thought, very good in the air. And I'm going to track runners, and I'm going to tackle things, and I'm going to poke things. He was very, very, very good today. Gusto, I thought, had a solid game. Again, Gusto does things that other players don't do, and that, like, he's very reliable as an off-ball runner, and he works his ass off. I mean, free header at the back post on Gusto again, not really his fault. He's, like, doubled between Marino and Madueke, but he's okay. He's okay. Caicedo, I didn't think was great before the red card. The man I want to spend some time talking about. There was a tweet, or not a tweet, a Blue Sky post. Kaylee. Let me find it. This is the post. Reece James is having those one. Can't tell they're down a man because they have 3 in midfield. Enzo, James, and James kind of matches. He was unbelievable. Unbelievable. However many syllables, add more. Defensively, like, I don't even know. 1 tackle, 1 clearance, 1 interception, 2 recoveries is somehow like 19 fewer than it felt like he had. I thought as a passer, he was unbelievable in terms of hitting like switches and playing through pressure. He wins 4 fouls dribbling through pressure. I mean, like, just simply on a different level. There was, like, he went on a run at some point in the second half where the ball was, like, bouncing, and he was, like, it was, like, here, and the ball was bouncing, and he hit a volley, and it got blocked, and I'm certain if it didn't get blocked, it would have flown into the top corner. Like, it was that kind of day. And, like, we've talked a lot about James in midfield versus James at right back, and I think in big games like this, there is a certain there is a lot of utility to Gusto just like running up the line and going crazy, and I don't think James can do that anymore. But, like, man, him in midfield is, I don't know, he was on Jupiter today. Like, I don't know. I'm just laughing. Like, some of the things that he achieved in today's performances were, like, just on a different planet. Neto, I thought, was okay. Pretty good defensively. I thought he made some not great decisions in transition that could have been better. But, like, pretty standard Neto performance. I thought Estevao was very good in the first half. He has like one very big chance that I think is fairly underweighted on the XG models. Like I think 0.09 is lower than, I think that's low for what that chance was. And I thought he was very good. He's like overhit a few slip passes, but I thought it was a good Estevao performance. I did not love the decision to sub him for Garnacho, but it is what it is. And then João Pedro, I thought, like, did João Pedro things. He held the ball up, he defended, he tried to link things. He like won one on the edge of the box that I don't know how he didn't turn into a shot, which was very frustrating. But I thought he was okay. Chelsea only made 2 subs in Garnacho and Delap. I would have liked to see more. Again, it's hard for me to be critical because they conceded fairly early and then they don't concede. So, like, who am I to say he should have done something different? But twofold on the subs. One, I thought Garnacho for Estevao was the wrong sub. I would have left Estevao to be a transition option. And 2, if I would have done Garnacho for Estevao, I would have left Neto on the left to double up on Saka and not Garnacho, who Garnacho is good at a lot of things, but he's not a great like deeper defender as a winger. So I think that is what it is. The other is that like I think you could have done with extra legs in midfield is talking about like Andre Santos should have come. And as the Czech 17 points out, you forgot Enzo. I did forget Enzo. I didn't think Enzo was great. I thought he did a lot of running. I thought he did a lot of running and a lot of defending, but I thought I love Enzo Fernandez. Start there. Love Enzo Fernandez. I love how like he plays very emotional, which I love. I like players who play emotionally. It's like more fun to watch. He, I think, sometimes gets pulled out of it. Like there are moments where he will receive after a hectic passage of play or a big tackle or whatever, and he can just play out of it and Chelsea can turn and go the other way. And he will kick the ball as far as he can, as hard as he can, because he's like mad. And that I don't love. But again, he like got through lots of yards. He got through a lot of yards, and I do think there's like this weird thing that Reece James is Chelsea's captain. Enzo Fernandez is the assistant captain or vice captain or second captain or however you want to describe him. I do think the team as a whole is more molded in Enzo Fernandez's image than it is in Reece James's image, where like the team as a whole is very emotional. The team as a whole, I think, really wants the smoke. It's actually quite fun to see Reece James now. Like Reece James wants the smoke in big games, which I really enjoy. I like it. He wasn't great today though. He was just fine. Garnacho I thought had a very poor game as a sub. Not very poor, but very poor is hard. Like he 10 out of 10 passes. I think he had 0 turnovers, which is useful. Maybe just on crosses. But I thought defensively he struggled a little bit, doubling up with Cucurella. And I thought he had a couple transitions that I would have liked to see him create more danger out of, whether it's a shot for himself or a better crossing opportunity or whatever it is. I thought he was just okay. Somewhere between bad and okay. And then Delap, we already spoke about at length, that I thought defensively he was a bit mid, but as bad as he was defensively, he was as good making it stick and winning aerials. Yeah, 4-4 aerials and winning fouls and whatever. I thought he was pretty good. But again, more subs. I would have liked to see Andre come. I maybe would have done another winger for Neto eventually, but I think it's okay. Total Genius One says, us being the team that wants the smoke with anybody is all I want to see. And I think this is one of the things that I get to with all the red cards, right? Is somebody very early in the chat said, like, is Moy taking a red card just something you have to live with his game? And like that was the first red card of Caicedo's career, I believe. So no, probably not. But I do think in terms of a team identity and squad building and that sort of thing, I would rather have a team that goes too far and then have to rein them back than a team who is soft as shit. Like, I would just much rather have guys that need to learn a little bit of, I don't know, maybe discipline is the world, but need to learn a little bit of restraint versus guys who just have no bite. Because I think you look back at like the Graham Potter team, like I'm just gonna pull up a random lineup. Last year's Maresca, the year before that was Poch. This is Potter, right? If I just pull up a random match from Potter, like, look at this team. Mendy, sure, 32. Cucurella, okay. Thiago Silva does not have bite. Thiago Silva is very good, but he does not have bite. Who's 14? Young Trev, also probably not a super nails guy. 12 and 5. Ruben, definitely not a nails guy. Jorginho, not a nails guy. Mount definitely is. Havertz, not really. Raheem Sterling, definitely not. Aubameyang, definitely not. Like, this team is just soft. And so I'd rather have a team who is like too far and then take it back. It's the same reason, like, I think Chelsea had the most yellow cards in the Premier League under Pochettino and under Maresca, right? Like, let's see, squad miscellaneous. We were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth under Potter. And then yeah, first under Pochettino, and then first under Maresca, I think. And some people are like, "Oh my God, it's a travesty." I don't care. I don't care even a little bit about how many yellows. I care a little bit about the reds because, like, it means you have to play with 10 players, but I don't care. So Roshan says maybe it's just because we're winning now, but this team is very likable. I think this team is like in a weirdly likable. They're not super likable, but I think they're kind of likable. I like this team, but I get why a lot of people don't. Somebody said, Chelsea Blue says, Kier, why is Garnacho stop cutting in and shooting from the edge of the box? That's his signature. Well, let's look at Garnacho's career shot map. Okay. I actually think broadly one of the things that I like is that Garnacho is taking fewer bad shots. I'd like his shot volume to be a little bit higher than it has been. But actually, no, I want this one. I was right. I was right in the first place. Garnacho. Like, this was his shot map for last year. Let's see. I just think, I don't know. I just think those shots are very unlikely to go in, and turning down, yeah, like this. Like, you don't want any of those. You want none of that shot, and you want none of that shot. So turning some of those down for, I guess I did probably want this one. Turning some of those down for retained possession in the final third, or a dribble attempt into a cutback, or whatever you want, I think is oh yeah, I had to do it by the date. I see. That's probably worthwhile. So I am cool with that decisions. Yellows are fine, mostly petulant yellows are not. Yeah, like the descent yellows I don't love. Justice Gambino says Anthony Taylor missed the second yellow on Timber just before Caicedo's red. I don't recall that incident, but Timber didn't get booked, so I don't know what the first yellow was. Yeah, like this. These ones, the like lighter green ones, are okay. But you don't want these dark blue ones. These are the ones that you really want to avoid. Like, if he cut Let me put it this way. If I draw like this circle, okay, there's probably like 15 shots in here. And each of those is worth like 0.03, which is half an expected goal, right? Total half an expected goal. It is way better for him to get there, drive line, and just smash one across the face. Because if you connect one time in the box, you have matched it. But actually, you'll probably connect 2 times and maybe 3 times. So I think realistically, you are actually probably happy with his shooting decisions, I think. But that's where we're at. So in terms of ye old sexy spreadsheet, last year was a 0.0 to was a 0 XGD game that we drew 1-1. It was even on XG. We had a few more shots, a lot of like low quality shots in that game. 22 to 19 on box touches. Today was negative 0.5, but again, you played 10 men for most of the game. A draw, 0.8 XG, 1.3 XG for, 11 shots for, 8 shots against. And like quietly, I think the defending being a little bit better is probably real. Like the shot volume conceded is definitely creeping down, and the box touches against are definitely creeping down. Like I think there's probably some signal there that this team is better defensively. Can somebody tell me when Maresca speaks, please? Because I would like to go see his. I would like to go see Maresca's post-match comments because I suspect they'll be very positive. Yeah, here's Wassa breaking down Sanchez. Yeah, he made 2 really, really good saves, man. Two really good saves. Maresca has spoken already. Let's see. He questioned the Hincapie challenge. The elbow? I don't think that was a red card. I think a yellow is appropriate. Because he doesn't cock it. Like if you really want, if you want an elbow to be a red, like it has to be a real bang. Like you're not getting it for like a straight elbow whack. Like it's got to be a full like cheerleader elbow. Let's see the first question. Sometimes you can be happy with 1 point. 11v11, we were the better team, with the red card changed the dynamic. Yeah, I think that is a correct. No, the pullback on Enzo. The first yellow. I don't even remember that one, to be honest with you. Changes after red card. Man United game, the changes were how United attacked the 5 players. We were judged most of the time because the result and we lost. Tonight, every time we do something is because we think it's right to do. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The players were outstanding tonight. Yeah, I also think this is like I'm very curious to see his exact words here, because I think one of the things I quite appreciate about Maresca is that he's fairly even keel in terms of like, well, yeah, we tried this thing and it worked this time, but like we tried this other thing last time and it didn't work. Like it happens. Like him saying, yeah, we did the thing we thought would work and it worked this time. It didn't work when we tried it against United, and like it is what it is a very mature and reasonable response. It's one of the things I quite like about Maresca is I think he's a fairly level-headed, neutral guy, which I think is very valuable. Can James do that again on Wednesday? No, the reality is no. Robert was very good. when you're with 10 players against Arsenal, you need special performances like Robert and Reece. Reece, now we have a game on Wednesday. We need to manage him and control the situation. But yes, that's like that makes me happy that I would not I would not play him against I would not play him against Leeds. Certainly not start him against Leeds. I think that's a good place to be. Ryan Islam says Asugo coming back should help with Reece and Caicedo. Asugo, I think, just started training. I would be very shocked if he plays in the next 2 weeks. He just started training after a quad tear and surgery. Like, there's no way he plays in the next couple games. Should Hincapie have been sent off for Chalobah incident? No, see, it's for the elbow. It's not for the Reece pullback. Yes, I think it's a red card. Moises's was a red card, but why was Bentancur's on Reece not a red card and Spurs away? That, I think, is a fair point to make. The Bentancur one that we all thought was a red. And this was the thing I said during the match, was like, I think this is a red card, but there are situations this season where that has not been given a red. I think the difference is, like, I think there's enough force from Caicedo, but I think it's a red card. I asked the referee, he said it was not an elbow. He has a black eye with ice at halftime. They judge it differently. Yeah, again, I think this is... He catches him with his elbow, but it's not an elbow, if that makes sense. Title challengers, I think, once again, sometimes have the same. If we are where we are in February and March, then we're going to be going for the title, but you need to take it game by game. For sure, Arsenal, Barcelona, Liverpool, PSG, they give the players confidence. Very mature. I again... As like a all-encompassing everything, I think Maresca's like a 6.5 out of 10. But I think he's very level, which is a very nice quality to have. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Io asked the 11 versus Leeds. Drake says Palmer starting against Leeds. Bad Rabbit says I think we can move Enzo back, move Pedro to the 10. Bad Rabbit says Delap up top. I think against Leeds I would go something like... I think I would probably go something like... What do we have around that? So you've got Leeds, and then you have Bournemouth, which are both tough, and then you have Atalanta. I think you're probably looking at something like... Sanchez starts against Leeds. I think it's probably going to be Tosin and... Because it's going to be Tosin to deal with direct balls to Calvert-Lewin, which is how they played against Man City. And then it's going to be Badiashile. And then it's going to be Cucurella. I actually wonder if he's going to go... I wonder if he's going to go Hato to start against Leeds. Because he hasn't done it for a while. No, because then that... Oh, maybe. But if it's Gusto, then no. I could see this. If he went Chalobah. I don't know. I think it'll be a lot of change. I think it'll be like Southampton last year. So you know what? I'm just going to YOLO it. I don't know what number Hato is. 21 or something. I feel like the Dumbledore, like, how dare you stood where he stood gif with Hato wearing Ben Chilwell's number. Yeah, my guess is something like this. And does Estevao start because he only played 45? Yeah, probably. And he saves Neto a little bit. Gittins probably starts. Yeah, and then like João Pedro Delap, probably. I don't think Palmer starts. This is Andre. I don't know what number Andre is. 17, I think. Or 14. I don't think Palmer starts. I do think we will see Something like this. This is what I would guess. This is what I would guess for Leeds. Something like that. A lot of rotation. I guess Enzo and Joe Pedro are the only players still playing. I think he'll do a lot of rotation. I think he'll do a lot of rotation specifically because off the back of that, you're going to go full strength for Bournemouth away, for sure. For sure, you're going to go full strength Bournemouth away because Bournemouth have always been really difficult for Chelsea to play. And then you're going full strength for Atalanta because it's Atalanta. And you're probably going full strength for Everton. But if you play Palmer like 20 minutes against Leeds, you can probably give him a half against Bournemouth. And then you can probably start him against Everton. You know what I mean? I will say, like, Maresca has been very responsible about return to play protocols for players. So I do not think Palmer is going to get rushed at all. We will see. 3 changes to the back line might be a nasty result. Yeah, you never know. And then question about Palmer. And then where do we see some Guiu minutes over this winter break? I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Guiu can't play against Cardiff because he's cup tied. I wouldn't be shocked if he played like a couple sub appearances in there. Roshan says, at what point do we run into issues not playing Achimpong? The kid knows he's good enough to play. I think he'll play some of these games. Like, if you told me he started against Leeds on Wednesday, I would be 0% surprised. Like, what I personally would do for this game is I would play Josh and like this. And then Hato, who cares? Do whatever you want. I don't care. Vassard says he's not cup tied. I think you're right, actually. I think that they said he's not. So he probably will play against Cardiff. Though I'd rather play Shimuka in that game. Yeah, I think we'll see. How are our chances in those games that Caicedo? Less than if we had him, that's for sure. But I think Chelsea can manage this. Like, Bournemouth, I think, will be tough. Leeds, I think you're fine. Without him, I think they're like not bad, but I think you're fine. Bournemouth will be tough, and then Atalanta, he's back, and if it's only a 2-game ban, he's back for Everton. So we will see. I am mildly positive about how things are going. I'm mildly positive. You should play the last 15 minutes of every game. Maybe poor Tyreek as well. And then Bad Rabbit says, surely George gets a loan in the winter. I suspect George will be sold permanently in the winter. Do you think Jorgensen plays versus Leeds and or Atalanta? No, well, definitely not Atalanta. I think Jorgensen will play Cardiff, and that's it. I don't think he'll play Leeds. I think he'll play Cardiff, and that's it. He's been bad enough every time he plays that I think you're kind of over it. So, like, if he moves, he moves. I think the weird thing for Chelsea to think about, though, is like, so let's say they sell Tyreek George in January for 25 million and they sell Jorgensen for 15 million and they get off of him. That doesn't help for their like squad cost thing for next year for UEFA. Like, they're incentivized to hold on to them to the winter. So I do wonder if we see both of them do loans with obligations in the summer to try and like activate it after the January window. Like, if you do Tyreek George on loan to Fulham with an obligation for £25 million if Fulham avoid relegation, that will trigger after the January win. But I don't know, because it's like, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work because he won't be registered if he's on loan. There is a weird thing with like how Chelsea want to handle the UEFA regs. Roshan says no shot. Jorgensen gets sold. You do have Slanina just hanging around. I don't know. And then you have Anselmino, who's like playing pretty good at Dortmund. He scored in a win against Bayer Leverkusen yesterday. And then after the game, Sebastian Kehl, their director of football, was like, "Oh, we quite like Aaron. We would like to keep him," which I thought was interesting. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to be. Ryanism says they don't have to be registered. For UEFA's like year-over-year squad costy thing, so their squad cost ratio, which is like amortization plus wages as a fraction of revenue that Chelsea have to manage. And then separate to that, there is the UEFA A-list squad registration rules, which are the cost of the A-list has to be less year over year. So if you sell a player for 10 million, if you sell a homegrown player for 10 million, you gain 10 million of room. It's like getting off of Raheem Sterling and Disasi is like a huge amount of room to save. So we'll see. We'll see how that ends up playing out. Dortmund gonna cry poor and offer 10 million. Also, Anselmino's like firmly in the bucket of, if you get a profitable bid, like I might just move on right away. His injury history makes it, I think, very difficult long term. But let's see. Unrelated to Chelsea, what are your thoughts on Sunderland? Are they the new Forest, or do they have some serious juice about them? Sunderland are like complete flukes. They have a bottom half expected goal difference, which, like, again, for a newly promoted team, like, that's being -5 through 13 games is very fine. I think the thing with them is that they keep winning a bunch of games that are not wins. Like, all of their wins, for example, like, here's a word, like, even XG on West Ham, they win 3-0. Even XG with Brentford, they win 2-1. Even XG with Forest, they win 1-0. Even actually with Wolves, they win 2-0. Even actually with Chelsea, they win 2-1. Even actually with Bournemouth, they win 3-2. There is a world where they draw every single one of those, or they lose a whole bunch of those. Like, that's, I don't think they're real. Like, I suspect now they have enough points on the board that they will stay up, but I don't think they're real. Habibullah says Petrovic has been awful this season. Can you talk about Petrovic, please? Yeah, so I don't think Petrovic has been awful. I think he's been not great. Like, 23 from 19 is bad. I will say, like, he conceded another huge deflected goal again the other day, which is like every time this guy comes to Premier League, he gets rinsed on deflections. I suspect he will stabilize closer to average by the end of the season. And being honest, like, I think he probably just projects out as about an average goalkeeper in the Premier League, which is totally fine. He's 25. He'll play for another 5 years in the Premier League, and he'll go from there. Like, he's solid enough. I think for Chelsea, one of the things that I'm pretty happy with me looking at this summer was, like, he moved, and I'm like, okay, that the distribution stuff was not real in France, and his cross-taking is up a lot this year. Like, 9.5% is a very, very decent number, but it's just so far below. It's so far below Robert Sanchez, who's just on a different level to basically every other goalkeeper in the Premier League as a cross-taker. Like, 14% on cross-taking is nuts. Just very, 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 very. He's at 16% of crosses stopped this season. Like, that's comical. Are Tottenham a relegation team? No, they're not. They're playing poorly. Like, similar XGD to Sunderland, Um, but I think their problems are eminently more fixable. Like they just have nobody who can pass at all. They have no guys who can pass, and they need many guys who can pass. Um, so we'll see. We'll see on that one. But they played PSG like pretty well, which I thought was a good result. Like it's an unfortunate result, but I thought they played them pretty well. So we'll see. Villa scamming wins, yes they are. Kier, right now at this moment, flat fee. What do you need to sell any of the current crop of academy players? It depends on the player. Like again, if you think about the pricing of the deal, it's like how big do you think the player's upside is? And how much money do you need to give up that upside? And so for some academy players, you might not think there's very much upside, so that number might be very low. Or teams might offer you a huge chunk of insurance on upside, like a sell-on clause or a buyback clause. I think if you look at like Tyreek George, I think it's okay to look at Tyreek George and be like, yeah, he's probably not going to be an ultra elite Premier League winger. But I don't feel great about that. And I think it's okay to say, like, I am open to moving him for a good base fee, right? Which 25 million for Tyreek George or 22 million for Tyreek George is a good base fee. But it is less than it is significantly less than it would be if he had like 8 Premier League goals. And I think it's okay to say, hey, Fulham, we will move him to you for a lower base fee, but we want protection on the upside of this. So we want a big sell-on clause if he ends up really good. Or we want an option to match if he ends up, whatever, any of those things, I think are all reasonable things. I think if you look at the current like crop of academy kids, though, the players that I'm hanging up the phone, is like Shim and like Shim and Kavuma McQueen. I think you don't answer. I think you just move on and say no, thank you. ZZZ, what price would you put on the top U16 players right now, like Dauman or Manga? I think Manga is an interesting one to think about because he will move. Like Leicester will sell him. Probably when he's 18, but they will sell him. And Dauman, I think, is less fun to talk about because I don't think there is a number that Arsenal would move him for. I don't think there's a number. My thing with Manga is that he has the same thing as all other he is the same thing as like a lot of other 16-year-olds where like he is not productive as a player. Like he doesn't create really anything for you. Like, yes, 5 progressive carries, 3 take-ons is good, but like he takes one shot from a terrible location and he doesn't create anything. And so like that's fine. He's 16 years old. Being able to do that in the championship is really good. But I think that's fine. So in terms of like pricing it, if I'm Leicester, because he's 16, the number right now is probably like 30 plus some sell-ons. Like it's in a similar place to what's his name? Tyler Dibbling. Right? Tyler Dibbling, who like moved at 18. How much did he move for? 42 million pounds. But if I look at Tyler Dibbling's production, right? Like you're going to see a lot of red. I think he actually had like nicer numbers than Manga did. And in a better league and for a worse team because Southampton were terrible. But the point being that like when a kid is so young, your error bars become very large. So the cost to give up like future value is pretty huge. Devil's advocate, what's the price on Shimmer McQueen where you accept and you think a deal can be struck? Like 65? Like a similar offer to what Bayern Munich offered for Hudson-Odoi. 65, 70, something like that is the number. Do. Conte loan in January would feed families. Yes, that would be nice. Where would you rank Sanchez compared to other Premier League goalkeepers? I guess, yeah. There you go. Tyler Dibbling, red, not good. But that's 42 million, right? Like 2090s in the Premier League of that level of production, which is bad, which is really bad. 42 million pounds, and he was 19 when he moved. So Monga, I think, is like a similar price, as is. Where would I rank Sanchez compared to other keepers? I think that's a fun thought. Let's play the game. Let's go to the Premier League. Let's go advanced goalkeeping, and let's just go by 90s. So I think, where does he compare to other goalkeepers? I think he is worse than Vicario. You know, it's hard because, like, as a shot stopper, the gap is not huge, but he as like a cross claimer and ball player is good enough that, like, so he after today will be here. Okay, I think he is also like Trafford. I think he is worse than Vicario. I think he is worse than Raya. And I think he's worse than Alisson. For sure. Like, I think those three, for sure. And then I look at the group after that, and I'm like, I think he's probably better than Emi Martinez. Like, if I just go by the starters, right? He's better than Rofs. Pickford is pretty close. Like, Pickford, I think, is probably a better passer, but is definitely worse on crosses. Like, 2.2% of crosses claimed. This is hysterical. He's better than Dubravka. He's better than Leno. Kelleher, I think, is pretty good, but he's better than Kelleher. He's better than Henderson, who is having himself a year. He's better than Verbruggen. He's definitely better than Sells. He's better than Pope. Donnarumma is probably better. So he's probably fifth. He's better than Martinez. He's better than Areola. He's better than Johnson. He's better than Perry. He's better than Lemons. Yeah. He's better than Mamardashvili, I think. Yeah, I would probably have him fifth behind those guys. But, like, if you want to make the case that, like, Alisson has declined enough, or you want to make the case that he's actually better than Raya, like, I wouldn't be mad about some of those. Vicario, if he's, like, not your thing, I think Vicario is very good. Xavi Simons looks terrible. Yeah, I kept this open specifically to go look at it. Like, this is... Oh my god. 0.16. Oh my god. 0.1. That's rank. Rotten. Oh my god. That is so bad. That is so, and I think a chunk of that is like oh my god. Oh wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel faint. Whew. Yeah, that's I feel pretty good about being like, no, this guy sucks. I don't want any part of him. Remember, every Chelsea YouTuber wanted him. I did not want him. No. I did not want him. I did not want him. I do remember a lot of people talking about a lot of people wanted him. But I think that was listen, I don't think the like influencer marketing thing is really a thing for most players. Like I think people just decide they like players and then talk about them. I do think it was kind of true for him. So yeah, how often are you comfortable playing a goalkeeper in successive games without concern for injuries? Say every single game, every 3 days. I would play a goalkeeper every day with no concern for rotation, and I wouldn't be worried. Unless you're playing some like insane Ange Postecoglou high line where they're making sprints. Nah, zero. There's no. If Xavi Simons was called John, no one would want it. John Simons. John Simons, the English attacking midfielder. No, I don't think that's fair. Like I think Simons had like legitimately productive years in the Bundesliga of he had like legitimate output. Like there were things to like about him in the Bundesliga. I didn't like them that much, but there were things to like. Just the price was like twice as high as you would want to pay for it. Like if he moved to a mid-table team for half of the fee, everyone would be like, "Oh, this is good. Yeah, I really like this." Goalkeeper is one of the only positions where the top players are playing on the continent and not in the mega bucks prem. I think that's very true. That a lot of the best goalkeepers are continental, but goalkeeper is like it's a position that is fairly underpaid globally. So like if you are a top goalkeeper, you can just stay forever and you're not going to move. Yeah. If we were after a backup goalkeeper, then the guy at Spurs currently bench rotting would have been a good option. I don't know who. Oh, the what's his name? The Anton Kinski, this guy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how like good he actually is. People seem to like him, and I think his data for Slavia Prague was very strong. Yeah, very strong. Let's go check out Strazi Straz because I know they lost, and I saw Rosenior get very mad this morning about they were winning and then they like had a bad day or whatever. All right, 2-1 on 1xg. That's bad. I'm gonna bet Penders let in a softie. No, he had an alright game. And what's the other one? Penalty. All right, not much you can do about that. Good save. 1 xg to 0.8. 14 shots to 7. Yeah, but 14 shots for 0.8 xg is like really bad. Like that's this is one of the things I don't love about the man, the myth, the legend that is Rosenior. Like I think some of their shot profiles are not great, and I will say one of the things I think is I want to see before I open my mouth. As I say that, they're top of the league in non-penalty expected goals per shot. That's actually a really nice number. Yeah, I do wonder about like I think sometimes when you have ex players go to coaching gigs that they can have somewhat suboptimal shot profiles, but that's pretty good. So who am I to judge? How do I feel about Barco? Rumors have him going to Bayern and PSG all the time. I don't want to be like a size and a pace and power truther for the Premier League, but like I think Barco is a nifty little player. I also don't think he's the kind of player who historically has done well in the Premier League. Like I look at Angel Gomez at Lille, and I think they're like vaguely in a similar bucket. Um, and I just don't think there's a world where he's ever going to play for Chelsea. Um, Jesus, it's a lot of passing and nothing else. Yeah, see, like now it doesn't look so different. I don't know. I don't think long term that there's much for him. I don't think there's much for him at somewhere like Chelsea. But he's a neat player. Like, that's I will say one of the things that I quite like about Strasbourg as a quote unquote project is you can actually be somewhat you can be significantly more risk tolerant with your recruitment because one, the buys are smaller, and two, the asks of Ligue 1 are just very different, particularly if you're a good Ligue 1 team. But yeah, like someone like Barco could not. Whew, he could not do the job he's doing for in the Premier League. So you can do stuff like I don't know, they probably paid what, like 8 million for him, and you'll be able to move him for north of 20 fairly easily. Let's see. 10 million and you'll double your money easily on that. Can I discuss my pros and cons on Guillaume versus Delap and where you think each thrive and where they fall short? Yeah. So Guillaume is very eager and runs the channels really hard. He is pretty intentional with his box movement in terms of hitting the front post. He seems to be not good at kicking the ball, and his link play is kind of bad. But he works his ass off defensively, even with suboptimal angles, but he works his ass off. And he's young, so like, who cares? And he cost 4 million. Delap is okay at running in depth. Like, I think people overrate how good he is at running in depth. He is a very good shooter. The guy murders the ball. He is a very good ball striker. His box movement, I think, is not good. I think he's very much wants to float for cutbacks or for the back post, and he does not hit the near post nearly often enough. And I think defensively he can be quite lazy. I think his hold-up game is much better than Guillaume's, but I think his link play is similarly bad. Like, I don't think the gap between them is huge. I think Delap just has more reps so far, is where I would say they are. Who other random? Noah Atabulo. I don't know who that is. You guys put me onto so many random players that, like, I got no idea. Sure. He's about even. He's 23. Let's see. Nemesis fully brings up Arthur Theet, who's a common thirst in the chat that I think is like an interesting lefty. Mamadou Sarr is low-key mid. Jeremy Jacquet is the real Liga wonder kid center back. Yeah, I think people like Jacquet more than Sarr. I think Chelsea will flip Sarr, for sure. Nima does Felice Sarr is getting resold immediately. If you told me Chelsea sold Sarr to like West Ham this summer, 0% surprise. Vitinha, Neves, Barco, fuck me, smacking 3 past PSG again. Tylel Tati is another. That's a name I have not heard before. Yeah, I mean, Nantes are not good, but that's not great. It's not great. Sarr is also like there is. I watch Strasbourg probably like 50% of their games, and I just like there's not. I don't watch Sarr and come away like, yes, this guy is good. Like, I don't like he's such a zero in possession. I don't feel good about it at all. Do I know about Jeremy Jacquet? Yeah, Jacquet's fun. I think He feels very Arsenal coded though as like a prospect. But yeah, I think he's quite good. Or like Palace. Like Palace buying him to replace Gay, he feels like a thing they would do. Is Enzo Fernandez a below average long range shooter in your book? I feel like I've noticed a few subpar efforts from him. Not sure if it's a real thing or not, though. No, I don't think so. I think he's fine. Strasbourg will try to get off of Omobamadele, maybe. Check out Dejan Matiele from Toulouse. Matiele. No, Mathali. Mathali. There we go. Dejan Methali. A lot of take-ons, a lot of box touches for fullback. So Toulouse, for those who are unaware, Toulouse are owned by Redbird, who are a... Let me show it. They're owned by Redbird Capital Partners, who are a... not quite private equity. I don't know what you would call them. They were a SPAC from the US. They own a chunk of FSG. They own AC Milan. They own Toulouse. They own a chunk of Liverpool. I think the only two teams they own in majority are Toulouse and AC Milan. These guys are like the pure Moneyball team. So they, for a long time, used a company called Teamworks, which is formerly known as Zealous Analytics, as their recruitment and analytics department. They are now known as Teamworks. Zealous was a company founded by Luke Bourne, who, for those of you who don't know, Luke Bourne is like one of the original Moneyball guys. He worked for the Sacramento Kings. He worked for Roma. He's a prof at a Canadian university. He's a very nice guy. Puts out a lot of really cool original research. But so Toulouse have been like super Moneyball team forever. Not forever, for a few years. They got promoted from the second division. They won the cup. They are like firmly a Liga team now. And their player trading record is pretty good. If you look at guys like... Sorry, I'm a slow typer. If you look at the guys who have come out of there, you will see... where's the departures? Like JD Canvo that they sold to Crystal Palace is one of their guys. Abuklal to Torino is another one of their guys. T. Stilinga to Bologna, another one of their guys. Like they have a real good track record of positive player trading. As a club, they're very, 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 very well run. And yeah, that's their thing, and that's the group who owns AC Milan. Like Chelsea, they have had to separate their groups, like silo their groups, because at one point they were both in Conference League or something like that. But yeah, they have a very good track record. Manu Kone previously. I don't think they owned them then, but anyways. Would I replace Maresca with Slot when this team becomes a title challenger and Slot is available? Or do you have doubts about Slot because of Liverpool's recent form? I think if Maresca gets the team to a point where they are a title challenger, I'm letting him keep the job. I think this is actually a fairly interesting question to think about in relation to Maresca, because he is on I think 5-year contract. So at the end of this season, you have 3 years left. You will be 2 years through. Who knows where Chelsea are at the end of this season? But you are at a point where, like, okay, he made the Champions League, and He won the Club World Cup. I think Chelsea will probably make the Champions League again. And like, if he finishes low 70s points, high 60s points, and makes Champions League, then with no Colwill and with Palmer missing a big chunk of the season, I think you're like, okay, let's roll it again and let's see what happens next year. I don't know. But I think if like you're talking about next year and it's like, okay, this team is a legit title challenger, then I think you just keep him. Like, I think the thing with Maresca is that he's a fairly agreeable guy who's like easy enough to work with. He's not an asshole. Like, the only players that there has been a problem with are the players who are in the bomb squad, and that's 2. And like Chilwell, I think I would probably lump into that group as well. But those don't really feel like him so much as the club. You know what I mean? So again, like, I don't think Maresca will ever be the best coach in the Premier League. But I do think he has improved since he got here. And like generally, I have 3 things that I care about. 1, is the coach an asshole? Because if they're an asshole, like, there is inherently a shelf life to anything they do. Like Tuchel, fantastic coach. He has not really been anywhere longer than like 3 years. Pep Guardiola is such a good coach that you can just recycle the players every 3 years, but he's also an asshole. It's very Mourinho. Every team, 3 years, done. Doesn't matter. Team blows up. It's very hard to do these things at the highest level if you're a difficult person to work with. Maresca is very clearly not an asshole. 2, do they learn and improve? So things like Maresca, the first season, Chelsea being like not great at set pieces, but better than the year before. And then being like, okay, we need to get better at this. I'm going to give Bernardo Cueva more training time. Big positive to me. And then things like, yeah, we made really bad decisions on these red cards. Let's figure it out and then be better the next one. Also a positive. I think the defensive stuff has improved over time. Also a positive. Big positives. And then the third is like, are you an ideologue or do you have ideas? Because I don't want an ideologue. I don't want a Sarri who is like locked into this is the way we play. You have principles and you have things about like, I think this is an optimal way to play. Like, I think these things drive winning. But I have this group of players who do A, B, or C better than they do D. That is also tremendously valuable to me. That one is the least clear that Maresca can do. But he's definitely learning, and he's probably not an asshole. So I think we're in a good place. I know this might be a crazy comparison, but loaning George to Strasbourg, turning him into Greenwood-esque profile. Yeah, well, you can't do that this year. How do you view Neto versus Madueke? Madueke is still a much better player than Neto. No questions about that. How do I stream Strasbourg? Been struggling with finding the appropriate channels. Paramount Plus has Conference League, so you can watch them there. And then I sail the high seas for Liga. Set Payev thoughts. I don't know. I get asked about Set Payev every single stream, and it's the same. Like, he's good in a small league, and he'll take some time to adapt to England, and then we'll see in 3 years. Why would you sack someone if they get the team to the title challenging level? If they sign at that point, then yes, but you still have to observe for a couple seasons after. Yeah, I think the difference between being a team who like consistently qualifies for the Champions League and being a team who consistently battles for the title is a very big difference. And again, maybe he gets there, maybe he doesn't, but I think you have to be open to that for sure. What's my biggest negatives with Maresca? The defensive stuff has significantly improved over time, but it is still like, I think long term the viability of the very man-to-man stuff is not super high. and I'll be curious to see how that changes. I think the subbing is still a problem. Like, he does not sub enough. And he kind of makes up for it by rotating a lot between match days. Like, that's something I think he does very well. But I think he is late to sub. The other is, I think he has probably... He seems fairly... I don't want to be too negative. He seems fairly willing to engage in recruitment and agent shenanigans, guys like Delap and Gittins, so on. And I think that's not great long term. He has shown the ability, Felipe Tilkin, he has shown the ability to beat the top teams. So what's the difference between that and being able to coach a title challenger? I feel like he's checking a lot of your boxes, but just hasn't enough time to prove he's at the level. No, and that's why, like, I'm not saying he should be fired at the end of the season or anything like that. I'm saying if Chelsea finish on 72 points, like, I would keep him around. I wouldn't be looking to move him. I think there is value to the stability he provides, like that it's steady Eddie, like that I think is good. I think the thing for me is I actually don't think, like, just to be a title challenger, it's not just beating the best teams, right? Like, Tuchel beat the best teams. Tuchel's Chelsea were very good in big games, but at no point was that team really a title challenger. Maybe for like a little bit the Lukaku season. I think the thing for me with Maresca that I look at is, like, I don't know if long term, and maybe this is harsh, but I don't know if long term he has the ability to coach like a 90 goal team that doesn't like falter at the other end of this. Like, it's important that Chelsea are able to be competitive with Arsenal and beat Liverpool and competitive with City and beat PSG and blah, 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 all those things. But also, like, you look at the last two seasons, you cannot win the title if you're losing to Sunderland at home and losing to Brighton at home, and the previous season losing to Ipswich and drawing Ipswich and like these. So again, let's see. You do have to beat the top teams as well, but that would seem harder than adjusting to beating the lower teams. No, I think it's different though, right? Like, it's the style of play to beat a team with a packed box and a back five is very different than the style of play to beat Arsenal, right? Like, if you play the same way in those two games, like, it's not going to work how you want it to work. And that's, I think, the thing is, like, I think his risk tolerance against worse teams is probably a little bit too low. That's okay. Again, I like, Fuzzbrain says, I see what you're saying, but he has defied expectations his entire time here at the club. I would actually argue he hasn't defied expectations. He has met expectations perfectly in line, because the expectations were make top four, have a great Club World Cup run. He won the Club World Cup. Amazing. Fine. I'll give you, he defied expectations there. But I think in the league so far, he has like exactly met expectations. And that's fine. Like, if you continue to meet expectations, you keep your job. Like, I'm totally cool with that. I am not itching to get rid of Maresca at all. I don't even, like, I don't know, when we were talking about this a few weeks ago, when people were like, well, if Maresca loses his job, who would you get? And I was like, I don't know. The list of guys is long and none of them make me feel that good. There's not exactly anybody I'm like itching to go get. Like, if PSG did something really dumb and Luis Enrique was available this summer, would I go get Luis Enrique? I don't know. Maybe. But that's like, it's pretty tough to say. Other than that, no, I'm cool. Just checked the Serie A table and laughed. XG table and laughed. Inter, very good. Como in fourth. That's nice. Good for them. Wow, Serie A is very flat this year, actually. That's like 16 goals from second to 20th is like it's pretty tight. Kier, when Mudryk is cleared, is he immediately heading out the door? Well, I don't think we know what's happening with Mudryk yet. Unless I missed something. I know somebody wrote a long read. I can't remember who it was. Somebody posted something about like Mudryk taking 3 yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. I think this is Chaloba's agent, by the way. I'm pretty sure this guy is Chaloba's agent and he follows me. So just keep that going. My brown envelope is on its way. I think so like unless we've heard anything about Mudryk, I expect that whatever will be announced is that he will get another year suspension, and they will say the year he sat out is time served, and he will get another year. And then next January, he'll go on loan or something. And my guess is he'll just go on loan for like multiple years, and then maybe you sell him for like 30 million or something. But the thing with Mudryk, and like this was one of the things that I didn't love about the initial deal, is he was a fairly old prospect. Like he will be 25 in January. So you don't have like a runway of him as a young player. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think, yeah, we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen, but my guess is he'll go on loan and we'll go from there. It's unfortunate. Like I think there's a world where he was like rounding into something useful, which is really unfortunate. But I think his career will be, we'll see. Bad Rabbit says, are you at all concerned the club setup selling players as they reach their prime and replacing them with star prospects is going to keep the team eternally youthful but inexperienced? I think that's a fair question. I guess the point that I would make is Chelsea haven't sold any prime players yet. Like if you look at the moves that Chelsea have done in terms of outgoings, like Noni is probably the one that you're like, yeah, that's a peak age guy that you didn't want to move. And maybe Jackson is that. But like Palmer isn't going anywhere. Enzo Fernandez isn't going anywhere. Caicedo isn't going anywhere. Cucurella is not going anywhere. Sanchez isn't going anywhere. Like, I think for now, I am not concerned. I can see how we would be in the future, but I think right now, we should not be. Bad Rep says, and Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher's a fair shout. That is a fair one. Yeah, that one not great. Not gonna lie to you. But I think en masse, like the team is in a better place than they were 2 years ago, and blah 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 blah. What do you want me to say? Kier's got some IT Kier shirt sponsor news. The only shirt sponsor thing I know is that the Oracle thing is legit. I don't know what like where it's going from there. All I've heard is that it is Oracle, that the number for this season is very low, or not very low, but is lower than they were expecting. And the IT Kier thing that I've heard is that both sides have an option to extend it if they both agree, which will not happen. So that's all I know about the shirt sponsor. I don't know what is taking so long. I don't know if like it hasn't happened. I don't know. Let's see. Uh, would I still do an Enzo Tchouameni swap? No, probably not. Probably not. Chelsea have been relatively clean and not as porous compared to last season, so the only thing the media have to make up is Mudryk and his situation, stuff like going to be a transfer, blah, blah, blah. Felipe Tilkian, in a vacuum, what's your preferred tactic-based formation? Not for Chelsea if you're coaching a professional team. So, in all the seasons I've coached, here's what everything's looked at. Just looked up from eating my dinner and saw Promise David's nipples. How lovely. That is a crazy...
we want to see Promise David playing more minutes.
That is a crazy screenshot.
During the previous window.
That is a crazy screenshot. So all the season I've coached, the first season I ever coached, we played a 4-3-3, 1-6, and we defended 4-1-4-1. I did not enjoy defending 4-1-4-1, but I liked coaching 4-3-3. The second season I coached, we played 4-3-3, single 6. We defended 4-4-2. Really enjoyed it. I think that is like my base. 4-3-3, 1-6, defend 4-4-2. The third season I coached a 3-5-2, and we marked man-to-man, like man-to-man. No matter who we played, man-to-man the whole pitch. That was extremely fun to play. Extremely fun to play, but it's like not an effective way to play. It was like a weird season where I had like kind of a ragtag group of kids that like they weren't even going to have a team like a month before the season. And then I was like, all right, I'll take it. And it was like, we came mid-table, but we were not very good. We played like, that team was my like analytics experiment team where we did not draw a single game. In 2 seasons with that team, we never drew. Like in 45 matches, we had 0 draws. And because if we were tied, I would throw on strikers for center backs to go win the game because it was like, whatever, let's see what happens. And we like did not shoot from outside the box. We were very good on set pieces. We played very direct for knockdowns and stuff in behind. Like we played like Brentford kind of. That was pretty fun, but not my base. And then after that, the team that played 4-3-3, 4-4-2, we did Discord Football says 45 matches running these kids into ground. That was over 2 seasons. So it wasn't that bad. It was like a 20-game season. And then the 4-3-3, 4-4-2 team later, we played like we would flex between like 3-5-2, 3-4-3, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, where we had a group that stayed together for like 4 or 5 years. And so we could just do like in match, we could just change shape and it was like pretty good. We had a really good group. We won a championship. That's where like, I don't know if it's on my Instagram or not. Let me see. I don't know if I ever posted it on Instagram. I don't think I did. But anyways, that was like, we played a lot of systems. So I would say 4-3-3, 4-4-2 is the boring answer. Chen Yuzhang says, Kier, regarding your comments about Maresca, I know you're a big fan of Arteta. I just want to add that Arteta didn't spend 6 years to reach where he is today. Don't you think with time Maresca is better? And there's a few comments about like Maresca and time and Arteta. Yeah, I think the thing with Arteta that I give him a lot of credit for is he got better over time. He was not like early Arteta was very close to losing his job, but over time, clearly he was like building things, and he like the early Arteta years they were so bad, and then they added set pieces and they got better defensively and the attacking stuff improved. I think Arteta is an excellent coach. It's entirely possible Maresca improves and gets to that same level. To be fair, if you asked me 5 years ago, I also would have said there's no chance Arteta gets to that point. So it's entirely possible Maresca does. I don't see it, but it could happen. Kier BT Dubs. I know it came up on many streams about Cucurella's contract. Did you see Fab confirmed that it was in fact done and just never announced? Weird. I did see Fabrizio Romano say that. What I will say is like Romano Cucurella. What I will say is I don't see the world where I don't even know. I don't know how to do the fancy search, whatever. I just don't see a world where the deal is done and Chelsea are still like, no, we're not going to announce it. Like, that doesn't track with anything about how Chelsea have behaved ever. So we don't know if it's increased wages. We don't know the new length of the deal. We don't know any of it. So we will see. The other thing is at the end of the year, like it's still 2028 on here. At the end of the year, Chelsea have to file with the federation, and there's a list. There's a list that basically says like, here are all the contracts that were filed with the FA this year. So we will see at the end whether they did or not, because like by the summer they have to disclose it. Only just tuned in. Kim Myers only just tuned in, but did anyone think Enzo is going to be flagged offside for a goal, as he definitely influenced Mascara's ability to clear it offline? Oh my god, I was sitting there the whole time and I'm like, he's kind of offside here. I really hope they don't call it. Like I think they're going to call it. So we'll see. Bad Rabbits lol been quite fun watching Oracle get dragged for the OpenAI deal where they're setting up to be the front of shirt. Yeah, that's if we had an OpenAI sponsorship, that'd be so funny. Fuzzbrain says Kier Pais looked terrible. Seems like he's having a hard time adapting. Look, I have been fairly consistent that I think there is very little chance Pais ever plays for Chelsea. He just plays in too important a position, and I don't think he's that good, but let's give him some time to adapt and figure out his life in Europe. And again, I still think it was really dumb that he came to the Club World Cup for a huge chunk of it. Like, he should have just been in France, like learning French and doing preseason with them. So I don't get that. What was my split on winning, losing, when tying? About even, which comes out half a point in your favor. So I think the first season we went 6-0-6, 6 wins, 6 losses. In the second season, 8-0-8 because it was 16 games. And then the second season we went like, we were good. We came second in the league. And we went like 10 or 12-0-4, something like that. When you were talking about managers not being assholes, do you think that's more important now with all the extra backroom staff, analysts, etc., versus 20 years ago when they could be more of a Mourinho? I think it's definitely true. I think more than ever, the head coach job is a manager job. In a way, back when head coaches were managers, it was because they also handled the recruitment and running the club. That stuff, I think, is gone. But I think the things that make really good head coaches now are less like, you don't have to be a really, really, really tactical savant anymore. Like, I don't think that's the model to be a top coach. I think you have to have ideas, and I think you have to know ball, because ultimately it's your decisions. But I do think increasingly, like, the best managers are guys who have really good people around them who empower their assistants to be impactful. Like, you look at like Pep has been very good about bringing in assistants to refresh his coaching staff. That was the thing Sir Alex Ferguson used to do all the time, where like he would bring in new assistants all the time to add new ideas to the stuff they were doing. And like, to me, I think the Bernardo Cueva Maresca thing is really interesting, right? Because you have Bernardo Cueva is firmly not part of Maresca's core group, right? Like, you have the you had the rumors of like their infighting or whatever, and you had when Maresca won Coach of the Month in like January of last, or in like November of last year. Bernardo Cueva is not in the photo of them taking it, which I think is overblown. But I do think, like, how willing are you to be like, oh no, this guy's amazing at set pieces? Like, no, you're getting time on the training ground, and it's like, it's working, it's being rewarded. And I think that's really valuable. So having people to manage all of those rooms, and also like who are interfacing directly with the analysts and with other things, like that really matters a lot. And that's why I say, like, if you are an asshole that nobody wants to work with, you are not going to last long. So we'll see. Tom Coley is here. What up, my friend? Guys like David Moyes, one of few who could bridge the divide between the two eras and adapt. David Moyes did the overlap, and he was like, it was a really fun conversation between him. ZZZ says, I remember Enzo Fernandez did an interview with TNT Mexico, and he spoke crazy high about Cueva. I have only heard exceedingly positive things about him. In terms of like his attention to detail and like how he is to work with as a guy. Like, I have only heard really good things about him. So it's, again, like, as much as football is like a very nepotism driven and like, who do you know world, I think vaguely the cream does rise to the top. Like, there are enough leagues and enough pathways and enough things that, like, if you're good, you will get a look somewhere, and you will make your way up. Like, there are not, I'll put it this way. I used to be a much more arrogant young man, and when I was like coaching early, I was like, I could definitely coach at Premier League level or at MLS level. Like, I definitely could hang with the people in these rooms. And I think, like, maybe I could. But then as I got older, I got to watch more training sessions and, like, see, like, proper real coaches coach. And, like, just different. When you get to the top, the people at the top are on a different plane of existence in terms of how much work they get through and their ideas about the game and, like, how quickly they can process things. And, like, it is, you look at like the top people, and it's very different. Yeah, I don't know. HK says lineup versus Leeds. The lineup we settled on for Leeds was this: Gusto, Tosin, Badiashile, Hato, Andre, Estevao, João Pedro, Fernandez, Gittins, Delap. I didn't follow soccer much in my youth. Did any of Sir Alex's assistants ever go on to do anything big? Big, no, probably not. But he had, like, Steve McLaren was a Sir Alex Ferguson assistant. He went on to coach England. He coached a number of teams across Europe. He was the Jamaica coach, like, until a few months ago. Carlos Queiroz is probably like the big one that people remember. He came in and like led a lot of their defending stuff, if I recall. And he ended up getting the Real Madrid job, but did not do a good job there. He also coached Portugal. He's been like a international football guy since then. I want to say Brian Kidd as well was a United assistant after playing. And I think he ended up at City as an assistant or something like that. Yeah, like not huge. Tom Coley messaged about this, but interested to know your thoughts on if Konate is a good option this season. Have changed with his struggles this season. Think you said the other day he'd checked out. I don't know what to do with Liverpool, who won today while not looking particularly great against a truly dogshit West Ham team. I don't really know what to do with all of them, where like Konate has been actually bad, like so many mistakes, but also Van Dijk has been the worst he's been in quite some time. Salah has been pretty terrible. Alisson has been not fit. The fullbacks are consistently a problem, and because they're playing Kirkez and Bradley or Frimpong or a midfielder at right back, like Konate is much more isolated than he has been in the past. I think I'm kind of just going to throw the whole season in the garbage and just be like, I don't know, some weird their friend died in Diogo Jota. Like, I'm just going to throw the whole season in the garbage and ignore it. So I would definitely have a look-see for the summer. What I think has changed more, and somebody asked me about this much earlier in the chat, and I read it, but I forgot to reply, is Wesley Fofana has been really good. And so now I look at the summer, and I'm like, well, Colwill is coming back, so we're not touching that one. Badishile is like your lefty backup. So unless you can upgrade him, like you're fine there. Like maybe you go and get Schlotterbeck or something, and that's your upgrade for Badishile. If he's like, I want to play, I'm tired of sitting on the bench. Chalobah is the best center back in the world, so we're not touching that one. And I think like there's actually zero incentive. Like there is no world that you can get a fee for Chalobah large enough to get an upgrade on him for what he makes. I think actually the really interesting thing with Chalobah is that he signed a huge contract under Tuchel, but that contract only has 2 years left at the end of this year. I would bet they activate the option this summer, so it's 3 years, and then I would bet you they try to put him on a new deal. So make of that what you will. And then you have Fofana, who previously I have been very eager to move on from because he makes so much money. But if he's going to play like this, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. Tom Coley says Tuesday, Sunday gap granted, but West playing twice in a week out of nowhere and looking strong is really positive. Yeah, I mean, I look at like let's see if I go all comps. It's the end of November. And he's at 790s. He is, last year he played 13. The year before that he played 18. I think it's fairly likely that he's going to get to like 2090s this year. And all of a sudden you're like, if he plays 2090s this year, well, like, I don't know, maybe the next year he plays like 25. Because if you can get him to play 30 90s out of 55 in all comps, all of a sudden you're pretty fine with paying him what you're paying him. And so I look at it and say, like, maybe we just sit on it. Maybe we don't do anything at center back this summer. Like maybe you just move on Tosin and Disasi. You clear a whole lot of wages. Like we talked about this I streamed on Thursday on during Thanksgiving because I was just chilling and we were watching Strasbourg. And somebody was like, what would you do this summer in terms of if you were sporting director? And I was like, I don't know, I probably wouldn't do that much. And when I think about what I would do in terms of like big picture thing, I would trim a lot of the wages that are not really contributing to the team big picture. So like number one is, can we move on Sterling and Disasi? Number one. So that's like, I think there's 20 million or 22 million left on Disasi's amortization. Raheem Sterling, I think, will have, at the end of this season, will have 12 million, right? Because I think let's see what his contract is. Because I think he signed a 5-year deal, and the end of this season will be 3 seasons played. Yeah, so he'll have one more year at the end of this year. So you're talking like 10 million left of amortization plus 20 million a year in wages, right? So can you clear 30 million? And then Disasi is 20 million and 5 million in wages. So can you clear 55 million in annual contribution gone? That's huge if you can do that. You open up a lot of PSR wiggle room just with those two guys. And then it's like Tosin, do you really need Tosin around? Jorgensen's fairly expensive for a backup goalkeeper. What do you do with that? And I think I would really just trim a lot of the bottom of the roster guys, and then I would churn. So I think from like a squad building perspective, where I would like to be for next season is you end up with something like Chalobah, Badiashile, Fofana, Colwill. You have 2 lefties, 2 righties. You then have James and Cucurella, fullback choices number 1. You have Hato and Gusto as like backups who can both play another position, with Gusto in midfield, Hato at center back. And then you have Josh who can play everywhere. I think at some point you have to play Josh a lot more, and that opens up like, at what point do you not want Gusto anymore because you need Josh to play backup right back minutes? But I think between like fullback and center back, you can do your thing between the two. And then in midfield, it's like, okay, Asugo, Santos, Enzo, Caicedo, Lavia. Like, is Lavia someone you really want, or can you trim that and do something else? In the attack, you have George, you have Guiu, you have all the other guys. Can you re-up some of those? And so to bring it back to the initial discussion of Konate, and as someone asked in here, would you still do Maignan on a free? Like, I would definitely explore those conversations for all of them. One, depending what we can do in terms of outbound, where like, I think Magnan's really good. I think Sanchez has had a great year. If you can get Maignan in on, like, Maignan has also had a great shot stopping year. But like, he's not a cross claimer. He's a very good like passer. But I think you look at it and you're like, well, he'll be 31 at the end of the year. He's had some injury problems. Like, what's the contract that you want to do on that? I don't know. It depends on the number. Like, I could see a world where you would not hate bring Maignan in on a free, and he plays like the big games that are not crossing games. He plays in Europe, right? He gets the Champions League games. And like, they both get 28 games a year. I don't think that's an optimal use of resources, but like maybe. So on Konate, it's like, well, if you can move Disasi and Tosin early, and then you're like, well, we don't know what's going to happen with Chalobah, maybe. But I would probably am not itching to do a center back move. And I think Pano Footy said in there, I cannot keep screaming into the void that we don't need a center back. Nothing I've seen this season points to needing a center back. I think it's true. I think you look at like the team lost their best center back and are in vaguely the same place. So we'll see. Roshan says, I don't think we can get rid of Sterling. He's just going to be paid off, and if we're lucky, it's going to be a slight discount to get him out early, but it'll mostly all hit next year's books. I suspect that they will just buy out Sterling. I have not ruled out that they will buy him out in January. I could see a world where they say, actually, we're kind of okay financially this year. Let's lock in the money this year and but if he gives up like a couple months of wages, I could see that. I don't know. Thoughts on moving on Gusto if we get a good offer and bringing in Gueladue? Yeah, I mean, I would rather just play Josh at right back than bring anyone in if I was being like purely resource optimal. With all those sales, is there a big money move? Well, I think ultimately for me, so like the second half of this, which I think I said and then I just moved on from, is like I would churn a lot of the end of roster spots where like I think I would turn one, I would be like, I really, really want a striker. That's whether that's Jackson coming back, which is my number one choice because I think it's the easiest to do. But I think I would use some of that spend on like the next bunch of Gatra Fafana, Andre Santos, Angelo, Cassidy, like those guys, the 10 million guys, to do the next round of loans and player sales. That's kind of what I would be looking to do with that increased clearance. Because I think ultimately what's going to happen is you have a lot of good players on fairly low wages. Like Enzo Fernandez is very good. Moises Caicedo is very good. Both of those guys are probably underpaid for what they are. Moises Caicedo in particular, like Moises Caicedo makes 150 grand a week. I bet you Declan Rice is making close to 300,000 pounds a week. Yeah, 250. So like at some point, you're going to have to pay these guys like a pretty huge wage increase. Cole Palmer's the same. Like Cole Palmer is going to be a 300,000 pounds a week player eventually. And so you're clearing room to keep those guys so you don't have to sell them in terms of PSR and squad cost ratio and all that stuff. Has Jackson been any good at Bayern? Jackson has 6 goals and assists in 690s for Bayern. He has been, it's like 3 goals in the league and then 2 goals and an assist in the Champions League in 690s. He's been very productive for them in short minutes. I think I can't remember who I bet. I think it was Alex Goldberg and a few other people that I bet £100 or $100 that Jackson would outscore João Pedro and Delap, which right now he is by 1. So we will see how that. He's actually outscoring them. He's equal with them combined right now, which is funny. So we'll see. And I suspect he will actually play quite a bit more now because now he cannot activate the clause. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with him. I would just bring him back. I'd be so happy to just bring him back. He's very good. Where's the other guy? What's his name? Maxi Bayer? That Dortmund tried to get. We'll see. Playing for Bayern is just easy mode. Ruben says, what is the clause for Jackson? The clause for Jackson was that if he made 40 starts in all competitions, Bayern would have to pay, I think, 60 million pounds for him. Or it might have been 60 million euros, so it would have been 75 total with the loan fee. But he now cannot make 40 million. He cannot make 40 starts. There aren't enough games left. But I just think long term, like you probably need to upgrade to like legit difference making attackers. Like again, Garnacho's a nice player. I like Garnacho. I thought he was like a good gamble at the price. But I want him to play like 25 90s a season, a lot of sub minutes. Gitten's like, I don't know, long term. Estevao is like the dude. Estevao is the dude. Ooh. I've done my rewatch, and I've got to say, on the basis of the last couple of Chelsea games, I'm adding Maresca to my pantheon of good out-of-possession coaches. 11v11 against Arsenal is one of the best displays I've seen in recent seasons. We were chatting earlier. I'm going to text him right now and say my stream loves your tweet. We were chatting earlier about it, and the message he sent me at 10:54 a.m., which was right after the game, fucking belter from Chelsea today, which I would agree. I would definitely agree. Yeah. Have your thoughts changed on Company, or is he still in a go? I think Company is like solid. I think his style like works for them. Again, it's one of the things that like you you have to balance the needs of a very big team are so different. Like the things that a Chelsea, a Bayern, a PSG, a Real Madrid, a Barcelona have to do are so different from 99% of other teams. And this is like, there were a couple of people asking about Thomas Frank earlier. And I had this conversation with someone on Blue Sky about Iraola. I cannot recall the person who tweeted it to me. But I think like the thing that we were talking about Potter on stream, right? And I said like I really liked Potter to Chelsea and it didn't work at all. And the thing that I got very wrong was that the defensive stuff translated. Chelsea had good defensive numbers under Graham Potter, but the in possession stuff was so bad. And when I look at Thomas Frank to Spurs, Thomas Frank at Spurs, the defensive stuff has been not good, but not actually. Let me go look off the top of my head. Let's see where they are XGA. Yeah, not great defensively, but the attack has been worse. It has been much more the problem. And like that, and so when I think about Iraola moving to potentially a bigger job after Bournemouth, like one of the things I look at and I'm like, yeah, I think Iraola would be a great job if like Liverpool chose to move on from Slot, for example. And Bournemouth are like mid-table-ish in terms of XGA. Bournemouth are not that good this year. I think they struggled a lot with a lot of the talent they've lost. But you look at it, and I think the bigger question is like, well, their attack has just not been good. Like so is the in possession stuff going to translate? And so I think one of the things that I am now kind of lodging as a learning in my brain is like what possession things are going to carry over more so than what defensive things are going to carry over. De Zerbi blowing another lead in France, absolutely hilarious. So I don't even know what games are on right now. Ongoing. Napoli beating Roma. Girona beating Real Madrid. That's fun. Is that Unahi? I really liked him at the World Cup. He was fun. He had some really good data. Lyon beating Nantes. And then a bunch of randoms. Why do I think English managers are so far behind Italian, Spanish, and German coaches? No English manager gives you the feeling you could win a top league. 2 reasons. Reason number 1, coach education in the UK is extraordinarily expensive. In England, the UEFA B course on its own is £1,200. I think in Germany it's like 800 euros. The other part of it is they just do way less coach education in general. Let's see what this says. Well, generally coach education is expensive in England, and there's not that many courses, whereas countries like Germany and Italy and Spain are much more active about getting people on courses to learn and do their thing. The other thing is that in England and the UK in particular, there's a huge amount of preference afforded to former players. And I think we have a fairly good handle that at this point, like, former players are not a great population for future coaches. Like, there are benefits, but I think you shut out a lot of really useful people for that. And so when you look at a lot of a lot of the coaches in like Italy and Spain and Germany, I think, make their way through the pyramid really, really well. The other part of this that I think is an interesting point to make, somebody made the point to me once that the English pyramid being so competitive so far down makes it very difficult for English coaches to like cut their teeth anywhere serious, where like a Italian manager can get a Serie D job or Serie C job, like not impossibly. It's like not crazy for like, if you have a UEFA B and like you're a reasonably good local coach, that you can go get, you can be like a coach in whatever team. Like I was looking at Francisco Ferrioli, right? Ferrioli's like career as a coach is so bizarre. Didn't play at all. Okay? Didn't play at all. He just went to university. He is a goalkeeper coach for a super lower division team, Margin Coperta, who I don't even know where they are. Let's see, Margin Coperta football. They are in the, they don't even have a, like, this is what, they don't even have a transfer market. Okay. He then gets goalkeeper coach at Fortis Juventus and Lucchese in Serie C. It's like makes his way there. Then he goes to Aspire Academy in Qatar, goalkeeper coach for a youth national team. There he meets De Zerbi. De Zerbi, he goes to Benevento. Benevento, he goes to Sassuolo. Sassuolo, he goes to assistant manager in Turkey. Then he gets a job in Turkey. Then he goes from Turkey to Nice. Like, there are steps for him to get into the professional game. But if you look at like English coaches, like even if you look at any English coach who are reasonably high level, they all played and like got a job at a club through playing. There's no like, what's the guy at Dorking Wanderers? Mark Smith or whatever. What's his name? Rob Tuvey, this guy. No, Mark White. Yeah, Mark White. Like, I don't know anything about this guy, but he has like, I think he owns the team, so it's a little bit different. But like, there is a world where he could coach his way up the tiers, and because he has been successful getting teams promoted or whatever, he would move to wherever. So it's very, very hard to coach. England has a lot of coach education things, but this is the same in like North America as well. Like, coach education in North America is a joke. I got told off on my B license, on my national B license, which, by the way, at one point, not by the way, this makes me sound like such an asshole. Like, I was one of the youngest B license holders in Canada. When I got my B license, I got told off on the course because I was watching a Premier League game at the back, because it was just a waste of everyone's time. I don't know. It is what it is. Tom Coley says, spoke about Hayden Hackney the other stream, but are there any other championship guys, mainly youngsters, you have your eye on? I was lucky enough to cover Bristol City when they had Alex Scott and Antoine Semenyo emerging. So Tom, you and I maybe have been at a game together before. I saw Bristol City Millwall in December of 2023. Nope, it's not that one. I think it was December. Was it December 2022, maybe? Go away. It was a 0-0 draw. This is the game I was at. It was a 0-0 draw. Antoine Semenyo played for Bristol City, and Alex Scott played in midfield. The game took place the day Pele died. It was one of the worst matches of football I have ever seen in my life in person. And, but I will say Semenyo looked quite fun. I also thought Zion Fleming was very interesting. I remember thinking that I thought Alex Scott wasn't very good because I remember paying closer attention because people were saying he was good. In terms of players who are fun in the championship, I have not paid much attention to the championship this year, I must admit. I quite like the American striker that Coventry have, Haji Wright, who is like on the older side now, but he's been a very solid American prospect for quite some time. He's like in the like pool of strikers who like don't do anything but run and shoot. So that was definitely a thing. And so I like Haji Wright, but he's a little bit on the older side. I don't know if there's anybody. Let's have a gander. I don't know if there's anyone who else who's like just in my brain as interesting. That's a big number. It's not a lot of minutes, but it's a big number. Yeah, give me that. I just get XG and I do nothing else. Interesting. I despise watching Finn Azaz for Ireland, so that's very fun. Jebison is a player I never like because he's Canadian and he's bad. There was a winger. There was a winger that came up on the Transfer Flow newsletter, and I can't remember what his name is now, and he had very interesting numbers. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't paid that much attention. I'm going to a lot of championship games while I'm visiting, so I'm excited. I'm going to have to like catch up ahead of time so I like know what I'm looking for. So that'll be fun. Was I in the home end? I sat with home supporters, but I was like in the middle of the pit. I was like, I don't know, upper tier, but like in the middle. The only thing, the most vivid memory I have of that game is one that my friend and I walked to like, we walked like, let me pull this up on Google Maps. And I've learned to stop doxing my address. Millwall. Millwall. So like here's the den. We walked along this like hidden path here behind these houses because I can't remember what trains. I think we took the tube to this station and then we walked like along this road and then there's a path back here and there's like a tunnel, like a super sketchy tunnel down here. I wonder if this is like, if you can see it. I don't know. Yeah, we ended up on like some super sketchy tunnel and we were like freaking out that we were going to get like mugged. And then there were some like 7 foot tall Dutch guys with us. And they were like, oh yeah, this is really scary. But they were there. So it was like, okay, we're fine. And the thing I remember the most is that it was the day Pele died. And at halftime, they did a minute silence for Pele. And at the end of the minute silence, some old Millwall fan standing next to us goes, what did Pele ever do for Millwall? And it was just like very off the cuff and funny. And me and my friend have died laughing. So that was quite fun. Thoughts on Liam Rosenior? I think Liam Rosenior is a good coach. I think he's not an amazing coach. I think, again, you want to talk about like scaling to bigger teams. I think the defensive stuff that he does scales better than the in possession stuff, where he is like a lot of the things that the teams have started doing is like you vacate midfield to build, right? So like you think about Brighton under Hertzler, where like Brighton under Hertzler, their whole thing is like, we're going to stretch everyone out of midfield so we can just play with like 2 guys in this massive space. And I think it is really, 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 it does not scale to better teams, in my opinion. So that makes me nervous about his scalability. Lord Flacco says Rocco Vata. I think Rocco Vata is the guy that I was thinking about. Rocco Vata. Yeah, I think it is. That's still, yeah, that's really nice numbers for small minutes. Yeah, I think it was Rocco Vata. You can always get on with Millwads if you talk about Dennis Wise or be racist, but I prefer the Dennis Wise route. Yeah, I that was the other thing that we noticed was that there were no black people in the stands, and that was a thing that was interesting to me. ZZZ, can you read my last message? Let me go find it. EFL's especially a great place for goalkeepers. One of my favorite random trivia facts is Peter Galaxy played for Hereford, or someone really low down there. That's great. I don't know if that was the message you wanted me to read. Would I sign Troy Parrott as a backup 9? No, I think now between João Pedro and Delap and Omega, like if you're buying another 9, you're buying like a legit very good guy. And so I don't think Troy Parrott is the guy you're looking for. Yeah, I think that's like not a guy that you're gonna do. We should spin back for Omaradian. Yeah, Samu. Where's the boy? Where's Samu at this year? He's not that good this year. I think it's like down a bit. 0.5 again, 0.5, but he scores. The guy definitely scores above his XG. Like this, I think is a thing we're gonna be. Well, maybe not. He was below at Alaves. I don't know. Samu is in the list of guys that I'd be pretty interested in. Whose data is the most overinflated that you have seen where you are like, how? The most overinflated. Batshuayi had like freakishly good XG when he was at Chelsea. I did not know he was playing for Eintracht Frankfurt. That's fun. Yeah, there was like a couple sub seasons where he was like very high. Trying to think who else is like really high. Bruno Fernandes for you. I think Bruno Fernandes is a fabulous player. Like if Bruno Fernandes was 26, I would be all over it. I think the guy is like a one-man efficient offense. Like I really like Bruno Fernandes. Like there is not many players who get as many and create as many shots as he does. Like I think Bruno Fernandes is a phenomenal player. He's very dislikable, so I understand why people hate him, but like I think when Bruno will eventually leave, like whatever he chooses to do with United, like I think people will look back at him as a phenomenal player for his time there. Like he's been a 10-10 guy, 10-8 every season, which is huge from midfield. Huge from midfield. Yeah. Brother, get Osimhen. Yeah, well, I think the thing with Osimhen is like now it's probably a year too late because now he's 27 when you get him. I think when he's 26 you can justify it, but I think at 27 you're like, well, it's going to cost a lot of money now, and now we're going to get one contract. Now he's in the like Yucra zone where to do it the fee is going to have to be much lower than it will be. I actually don't know. I don't know what his contract situation is. I don't know when he's out of contract. You know what I mean? Let's see. I'll tell you this. Whoever was sending John McKenzie's tweet, I texted him just saying my stream loves your tweet, and he said, seriously, man, this game was so good out of possession. The players get it, which is very nice to see. India Kitchen says we're still live. Yeah, we're feeling good. I don't have anything else going on. Why not? You're not feeling the Konate and a free shots. No, we talked about Konate earlier. That like, I'd explore it for sure. Barcola is tailor-made for Maresca. Yeah, I think Barcola would be great. Like this is the thing. Like he signed. I just don't. You're not gonna pay what Galatasaray paid to get him. You're not going to pay that number, I don't think. Florian Balogun. Balogun's good, but he has like the weird up and down thing of a few years now. Like where he was good this year, last year, he has like pretty strong underlines. He just doesn't play that much. Tom Coley says I'll be catching up with the start, but just how big was the Reece James Levin? I just spent like 10 minutes laughing at how good he was. It was pretty ridiculous, to be honest. Who is your realistic striker option not named Jackson? I mean, maybe it's Samu. Maybe it's... I mean, I think they'll probably just roll with the lap. Like, if you told me that they just kept... If they did nothing in the summer, wouldn't even be surprised. The one I don't want is I don't want them to go get Murillo. I really don't want them to get Murillo. Well, I mean, I guess it's just Omega. I guess that's your guy. Kane has a release clause, but you're not doing that. Tanny, my Canadian boy. Maybe. Panicelli, who again is in your system already. Like that's another guy you're probably interested in. I think it's probably just Omega, to be honest with you. And they don't do anything else. If you made me guess, they will sell Jackson and they will bring Omega in and they will carry 3 strikers. People be overreacting right now. By the time the season starts, you find a Nekatike or Waltamata out of nowhere. Yeah, I think you got to wait and see. I think Baliba can be one of the best center mids in the world in 2 years. I don't, because he can't pass. He does not pass the ball well at all. And the ball carrying stuff is nice. It's great. But like, you need to do way more of it if you're going to be like that guy. Yeah, I don't know. Tom Coley says, because Amiga does nothing on the ball but score, how do you try and predict translation for something like that? I have less than no idea how to project out someone like Amiga. Like, I think the XG translation from Liga to the Premier League is something like minus 30%, right? So you have, if we look at Amiga over the last 2 years, like he has been a something like 0.8 guy over his last 30 90s. 0.45 the season before that, which is not great, but he's been better. I think the thing with him that you look at is like, is he just a transition guy? Because if he's just a transition guy, those numbers are going to go down more. But if you made me project right now, like if you said predict Omega's production in the Premier League tomorrow, I would probably peg it at like 0.5 XG plus XA, something like that, going from like 0.8 to 0.5. I think he would do pretty well for Chelsea, but I think it would be like he would be very good against bad teams and he would struggle against good teams. That's kind of where I'm at on him. If you go for Mario, you might as well have gotten Gehi. Either way, no shorty CBs, and I say that as a shorter person. Maria's aerial duel win rate is very high, but a lot of that's in a back. Some of that's in a back three. Maria, he's an interesting player. To me, the bigger thing is he can't pass. And like you already have Fofana who can't pass. You can't have 2 guys who can't pass. Opinions on Lamine Camara from Monaco. So like the thing you have to be cognizant of with Liga midfielders, which I quite like because there's like a brand of Liga midfielder who can pass, dribble, shoot, tackle, and run. There's like all action midfielders are very abundant in Liga. One thing you have to be very mindful of is that both the ball winning and the progressive passing from Liga to the Premier League collapse. So like you go from 6 progressive passes, 1.5 progressive carries, 4 ball wins a game. That will look more like 2.5 ball wins and 4 progressive actions, which is now not great. It is one of the things that actually we have a pretty good handle on is ball progression and ball winning in Liga decline significantly when they come to the Premier League. How does the out of possession work when Palmer is back starting? I think Palmer is just going to have to sacrifice and do midfielder things. I think you're going to have a lot of this. A lot of like the press is going to look exactly the same and Palmer is going to like smash people the way Enzo Fernandez has. I think that's just going to be what it is. Palmer has been much better defensively at Chelsea than I think I anticipated and I think others anticipated. I think you can get away with it. And he's very good at like intercepting and poking for regains. And he's such a good transition orchestrator, both on the ball and off the ball, that even if you get maybe 1 fewer regain a game, the regains you do get are better because he's there and not João Pedro, for example. Thoughts on Josh Hato fullback pairing for the future? I think Hato will, to be honest, I would bet you that both will end up as center backs, not as fullbacks. Josh in particular. Hato, I think, will like do the fullback center back thing for a while. But we'll see. I would there are worlds where like you could play both of them at fullback and 2 center backs, but I think that'd be fairly conservative. Palmer plays, we probably win against Arsenal. You know, if Chelsea stayed 11v11, do I think we would have won the game? Maybe. Probably. No, not probably. Maybe. Maybe is where I'm at. I don't know. I think there's worlds where it's 11v11 and the game's drawn and you can bring Palmer for 10 minutes at the end to try and win you the game. That's interesting, but it's fine. Is anyone really upset about how today went? Because, like, other than Caicedo being suspended for a few games, I'm pretty happy with things. I can't lie to you. Yeah, I don't know. That Saka shot is offside. Was it really the Saka shot that he hits at the near post in the first half? It did not look offside to me. But maybe it was. All right. We've been going for 2 hours and 30 minutes. 2 hours and 40 minutes. Give me your last 10 minutes of questions, whatever you want to talk about, anything, while I let you load up questions. I am not going to stream after Leeds, but there will be a podcast. And then next weekend we will stream. I'm not going to MLS Cup because it's in Miami. If it was in Vancouver or San Diego, I would have attended, but it's kind of a pain in the ass to fly to Miami from me. So no Miami, but that means I will be here to stream next weekend. And then we're heading into the holiday period, man. I'm very excited for my trip. I'm very excited to go see some games. There'll be no streams while I'm there, but I may bring the mic. I may bring the mic and do a little cheeky pod while we're there. We'll see. I haven't decided yet. But we'll be there. And we'll see. We'll see a bunch of people. We're trying to work on some things to have some fun while I'm there. But it should be excited. We will see. We will see. What would be the most aura-inducing front of shirt sponsor? I think the coolest front of shirt sponsor that I have seen still is Mercedes Benz. I think the Mercedes Benz shirt. I think this one is the coolest one I've seen. But yeah, I don't know who the most aura inducing is. Bad Rabbit says, I was going to say, surely this is where you zoom around London, get a guest on the pod. I think the thing that I have to be like mindful of is like, one, I'm on vacation. Two, I'm there with a friend. So like, I'm not going to drag my friend around to like go record podcasts or whatever. And three, it's Christmas. So like, not everybody's around. And four, like, I'm not bringing stuff to record a podcast in person. I don't want to do any of that. But like, I think there will be a lot of like conversations with people to set things up in the future. We'll see. I think Nintendo would be a fun sponsor. Somebody else brought that up. That would be a cool one. Gucci. I don't know if I ever saw Chelsea Gucci. I also feel like Gucci are not I don't know. I feel like Gucci and Chelsea would not be like a working sponsor. I don't know. Call Mackenzie, insane collab. The juice is gonna be fun. Well, John's already been on the pod. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I low-key like the Spotify one for Barca. I think the Spotify Barca one is awesome. I feel like Chelsea, you need like a London brand though. Like I don't know who like a popular London brand is right now. Okay, I will say on this kit, the Gucci sponsor would go hard because of the colors. But we'll see. It'd be cool if you had like a different sponsor for each if you had a different sponsor for each kit. I feel like that would be fun. Force your favorite Frenchman onto your pod whether he likes it or not. I would love Seb to come on the pod. I'm going to be in London Christmas Day until New Year's Day, and then I'm going to Dublin. So as of right now, I am going to Bolton against somebody, Stevenage or something. Let me check my email and see who I'm seeing Bolton play. I am seeing Bolton play against Rotherham. I am going to United Newcastle. I am going to United Newcastle. The game on the 27th is undecided still, but it will either be Arsenal, Brighton, Brentford, Bournemouth, or Chelsea Villa. And then the 28th is Palace Spurs. The 29th is Wimbledon Stevenage, or Wimbledon Exeter, I think. The 30th was Chelsea Villa. The 31st, there is no game. And then the 1st is Coventry Charlton. And that's the matches I will be seeing. Tom Clay says, what's the thought process behind deciding the games to go to? I wanted to go to as many games as possible. The friend that I'm going with is a United fan, so like working United in somewhere was was one to happen, and them playing Newcastle on Boxing Day is a nice one. And Bolton, we were trying to hit like classic clubs, like so seeing Bolton was like going to the Reebok is like a thing because that's like what a classic Premier League team. Charlton, and then the other is like going to stadiums we haven't been to before. So like we could have gone to Millwall again, but we're going to go to Charlton instead. We could have gone to QPR, but we've been to QPR before. We were debating doing like a day trip to Birmingham, but Birmingham sold out of the match we were going to go to. So, and then it's just getting as many games. And I'm going to try and find like a lower division, like an Isthmian Premier League or something in between somewhere. We'll see. What other ones in here? Friend has to be on the pod to make the rules. I don't think Casa would want to come on the pod, but maybe. It's a guy I used to coach with. He's very good at. I will say he's the best person I've ever worked with on set pieces. He'd be fun. If I could undo one injury to a Cobham player, which one would you do? It's probably Hudson-Odoi. Tom Clay says, "Are you a reader, a film man, TV series watcher? What's your go-to?" I go up and down with reading. I was a big reader until college, and then grad school broke my brain as a human being, so I didn't read for like 5 years. I didn't read anything other than academic literature. And then I finished grad school, and I bought myself a Kindle, and now I've been getting real back into fantasy. And so recently I have been reading all the Witcher books. That's what I'm doing right now, is reading through all the Witcher books. And they're very fun. They're very easy to read, and like it's easy to get through. No Irish football when you're there. I know. I was hoping that there'd be like GAA on, which would be cool. Let's go Wimbledon. I saw the Reebok 5-1 for Chelsea in 2011. How'd you get all those tickets? Anyone other than the Premier League is very easy to get tickets for. In the Championship, it's very reasonable to go. It's a little bit expensive, but it's very easy to get. The Premier League tickets are like, are you just willing to pay? Or do you know someone? Like, I still don't have my Chelsea tickets yet. That's the one that I'm like, oh, we'll see if that happens. Love watching Charlton. My partner's dad is a fan, and we try and go a decent amount. Got to both playoff final wins. Like, Charlton, I've heard, is quite a fun stadium to go to, actually. The Valley, I think it's called. The Valley. Really go into detail. I'll see if Costa wants to talk. We'll see. It would be fun. Okay. It's been 2 hours and 48 minutes. Chelsea drew Arsenal. If you'd offered me it at the beginning of the day, I would have taken it. I would have taken it. You would have taken it. We all would have taken a draw. After a red card, I think we all would absolutely taken it. Like 200%. We all would have taken it. So there's nothing to be upset about. I will say one of the things I very much enjoyed is that Arsenal fans are like really upset that they didn't win. Like really, really, really upset that they didn't win, and that is almost worth more than the point. I will say though, Arsenal are really good. They're a very, very, very good team. They're a very good team. I think you look at the Champions League table, and let's see, Champions League top 8 probability. I think Opta have this on their site. Let's see. Predictions. 60% chance of making the last 16, as is 7th. If we'd just beaten Karabag, we'd be so much better off. God damn it. No, I don't know. It's hard to be mad about where we're at. I'm enjoying. I'm having fun. How does one coach set pieces? You do them a lot. You take lots of time and you go through corners. There are principles of play for set pieces the way they are for everything else, and you do them a lot and you work on them a lot, and you have good routines that are well targeted to the opposition by doing analysis of how they choose to defend corners and free kicks and how they choose to attack corners and free kicks, and you do specific things to get them, but all in the framing of the principles of play, so that if something goes wrong, they know exactly what they're doing. Costa, my Giro census is his name is Anthony, but his last name is Costa, but he's Italian Portuguese. You say getting tickets is easy, but how exactly? I'm not from the UK. Through the teams or like website? Yes, through the teams. Ticket reselling in the UK is illegal. Not that it doesn't happen, but it is illegal. So you just get it through the teams. Like here, if I just go like Charlton have on the 20th of December, they have Oxford on sale, And I just like, sure. I want to see them play Oxford, and then here's the stadium. I need 2 tickets, and then you just choose seats for me or whatever. Oh, I got mad at that apparently. But whatever. If I want here, sure. There you go. I can get these 2 seats, and there you go. That's it. That's all you got. Sometimes, like Premier League teams, you have to get a membership to buy. So you have to pay money to have the right to buy tickets, which is the dumbest thing ever. So it's kind of shit, but it is what it is. Like Chelsea is very hard to get tickets for comparatively. So we will see about that. Speaking of tickets, any luck with the World Cup? No, not yet. And it's like crazy expensive. So it is what it is. Anyways, we're calling it there. It's 3 hours. We did the marathon. If you want to support the show and the pod and whatever, like it, subscribe it, comment on it, share it, whatever on YouTube. This is the thing. I say all these things. I am never like, I might retweet something if I read it, but I'm not like, check out this live stream replay. Like I'm not doing that. Yeah, like interacting with it in some way, shape, or form does help it do its thing. I'm gonna try. We spoke about this last stream. I'm gonna record a podcast episode tonight, and so that will go out tomorrow to like match. It'll be a more condensed version of this. This will go on the podcast feed as its whole thing probably tomorrow. I gotta wait for it to upload on YouTube because I forgot to record again, and we will go from there. But as always, my friends, enjoy the soccer.